Hi, my name is Paul Greenberg. I'm a language enthusiast from Toronto on an amazing journey with Anishinaabemowin.
Hi, I'm Isadore Toulouse, also known as Niswe Andeguk in my Anishinaabe name, which means three crows. And I am a specialist in Anishinaabemowin for the last 40 years.
We decided to create Paul and Isadore Living Anishinaabemowin to share our ongoing dialogue about and in the language with you all. We release episodes regularly and we hope that you enjoy watching it as much as we enjoy making it. If you think that what we are doing is worthwhile and should be seen by others, please hit the like button below. That's how we get seen. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the exciting things we have in store, please be sure to subscribe below. Make sure to turn notifications on so that you will know when we upload a new episode. Kachimigwech. Okay, Isadore, hello.
Honey.
Welcome to Paul and Isadore Living Anishinaabemowin, episode 4. Ani Isadore.
Honey Paul.
Anishinagege.
Nishin, apjugu nishin, de equus. Kindash, Anishinagegi.
Nishin gogeni.
Nishin, nasa nishin.
Megwa, gichi odenang, meno juabat.
Oh, menajuevat. Kchiwoye se gia ude mberi. Kchiwoye se. Kchiwoye se.
Tornado.
Kchiwoye se. Wow, that's
yeah. And I was just going to say, actually, I have a question for you. What I wanted to say was Megwa Gichio Denang, Nistana Shinana, Shi Anishna Ejikedang degrees.
Pitate. So
if I wanted to say 25 degrees, I'd say Nishtana Shinanan Pitate.
Nishtana Shinanan Pitate. Pitate, it doesn't really say degrees. It just tells you that's how hot it is.
Got it.
Pitate.
Okay. Well, listen, wonderful. It's good to see you. This is always, honestly, the highlight of my week. And it just keeps getting better and better.
Oh,
I'm excited. So we've got some exciting things to talk about today. We'll do our questions, continue the discussion with Bev, and then today we're going to actually talk about colors, but adding in a little bit about inanimate and animate, which is something people have been asking about, and then also just explore, what some of the things are inside the color words, and also where those words show up in other places.
Right.
So really looking forward to that. So let's start with the questions. I'm going to go with you first. I'm going to pull this up. And the question, this is a bit of a shift. We've talked about some of the difficulties and challenges, but I want to mix it up and talk about the other side of things. And so the question is, what is the most fulfilling experience you have had as a teacher of the language?
I think my most fulfilling teaching experience is my Lakehead University teaching position that I've had for the last 28 years. Teaching teachers the dynamics of teaching a language, the processes of the pedagogy of language formation. And it's not teaching the structure of the language, it's teaching how language evolves and what people can do, new teachers can do to enhance their teaching ability. So that I think that's one of my best, one of my proudest accomplishments for being an instructor at the Native Language Instructors Program, which is now the Indigenous Instructors Program at Lakehead University.
And the people that you're teaching to teach, Are they typically speakers themselves, or do you have
Yes.
sometimes people who are non-Indigenous? Or
Yeah, no, they're all fluent speakers that
okay,
are just going into the teaching field.
okay, amazing. And
So
so,
my job there is to teach methods courses, methods year 1, methods year 3, approaches to bilingual education, the ways and means of being able to speak both languages, Anishinaabemowin and the English language.
okay, so super interesting. And so basically, you're saying that a key aspect that's fulfilling essentially is, in a way, empowering these people to go on and kind of continue the work. Is that what you mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And one of the things actually that just occurred to me is you've mentioned that you've been doing this for, I don't know, 30, 40 years, something like that.
Well, yeah, I've been teaching language for over 40 years.
So 40 years.
And I've been teaching at Lakehead University for the last 29 years.
So you started when you were about 5 years old or so, I guess?
4 years old.
So one question though I have is, has teaching of Anishinaabemowin changed during that period? So if you were, for instance, to go back 40 years ago compared to now, do you see like significant differences into like how it's
very much so? There's more more resources than there was back 40 years ago. There's lots more resources, and I think that needs to continue, like that momentum of those different resources that are out there. And I think the whole idea of having new teachers coming on board to see and show how their techniques are, and I love seeing new teachers, new techniques that they're using in relation to teaching language. I have my niece Joni Shauna. She teaches. She works at a Native agency in Toronto, and she works with Aboriginal children.
Okay.
I believe it's Head Start. I'm not sure, but anyway, she has a program where she teaches the basics of Anishinaabemowin, and she creates a variety of different programs to help her enhance her learning. She's not a fluent speaker, but she just teaches the basics of the language, which is really, really, really great.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. All right, well, cool. Let's go to the question from me.
All right, my question to you, Paul: what impacts of learning Anishinaabemowin what impacts is learning Anishinaabemowin having on you, if any?
Okay, so the simple and easy answer to this is I just feel better. Like I'm telling you, I feel happy and grounded, and just there's something that really brings me closer to the earth with it. So that's sort of like the very abstract answer. But more specifically, there's a few things. One is I definitely find that it's opening my mind to a new way of thinking and feeling and being. And just a really simple example from our last episode is the word kinomage, right? To learn. And when you just dig into that word and you see that ki at the beginning coming from aki, meaning earth, is it now, even in English, when I think about the word learn, that's kind of like lingering in the background, that image. And it just creates a very different way of your relationship with what it means to learn, what it means to sort of develop knowledge, what it means to share knowledge, because it all comes back to this like connection to what's under our feet, which is just a very different way of experiencing, So that's one. The second thing is it's completely changing my perspective on the places around me. So as an example, in our pilot episode, we did the Great Lakes. And, when I go down to Lake Ontario now, I have like, what would you call it? It's like engraved in stone in my brain now, this word, nigani, gichigami. And, when you were explaining that it's about being in front. And so what's interesting is whenever I talked about Lake Ontario before, I always thought about it as just this independent lake on its own, big body of water. And now, hearing the Anishinaabemowin word, I always think about that lake in relation to the other lakes, being at the forefront, being, ahead of them. And then also I think about that lake in connection with the Atlantic Ocean, which I never thought about before, because it's sort of the first one there. So it just changes the whole perception of the place that I'm in, which is really interesting. And then I guess the other thing I'll just say is that I would say it really completes the picture for me, because growing up with we've talked about this before, but the really, in a way, poor education that I had about, the non-existent education I had about the Anishinaabe culture and history and language. But then, you just sort of do some simple math and you realize, okay, if 1492, Columbus shows up here, there were 100 million people living on Turtle Island. At a time when, by the way, there were 80 million living in Europe, right? So you just sort of go through that and you think, okay, so that many people living for that long in this place with such little impact on the land, like there's clearly something very sophisticated going on. And yet the education was always like, no, we're not going to look over there, like moving right along. We'll get to other stuff. We'll talk about all this other stuff. We're just going to pretend that this didn't happen, But as a kid, you're sitting there thinking, come on, like something doesn't add up here, right? So like really getting into the language and seeing words that are clearly ancient words that people spoke and names that, as I was just talking about, people describe, it sort of now starts to come full circle and be like, okay, now things are starting to make sense to me, about what's actually been going on here for such a long time. And not in a historical sense, in a real living now sense, So that's super exciting. There are many other impacts, but that's sort of the highlights.
Well, that's good. I just want to add to your comment in relation to, since we've been doing these podcasts, I've been thinking a lot more about the different things in relation to how the general public sees the Anishinaabe people. Not just the Anishinaabe people, but Native people around North America. And I wish everybody thought like you did. You did not get the proper training. You did not get the proper teaching in elementary school about who we are as Anishinaabe people. So in a perfect world, I wish in the public education system, the Catholic school system or whatever, that we had Anishinaabe teachers in there teaching language and culture from grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, all the way to grade 12. We'd have Native people employed in every school. If this was a perfect world.
100%. And I want to tell you, I actually think about this a lot, Isadore. And there's a part of me that when I actually think about that in those terms, that makes me feel angry. It makes me feel kind of ripped off in terms of education I didn't get. But I don't, like, there's a part of me that says, okay, I don't want to go there. I can't go back in time. Because I was actually thinking this the other day. If I had started learning Anishinaabemowin the same time I learned French, I could be a speaker now, There's a part of me that thinks that, but where I kind of continually end up is like, okay, I cannot change the past, but what I can do is continue my excitement for this. And I'm telling you, I know you tell me I got to get a life, but this really is a highlight of my week. I'm not joking. And I want to put everything I can into this now. That's the best I can do,
Right.
And just make up for lost time. But I agree with you. I mean, and what really strikes me is it's more than just respect for the people, that have been here for millennia. It's more than that. It's that when I sit here and the more that I learn about this language, it actually is one step further for me. It's like right here in this land, this is like a national treasure. The fact that we have access to the knowledge that's in this language. And it's crazy not to be curious about that. It's crazy not to want to be interested to dig into it and understand it. Because again, it's not about a charity. It's about Like, how could, if you had this amazing thing sitting in front of you, how could you not want to know more about it? You know, that's how I feel. Anyway.
Right.
So on that note, we should continue our dialogue with Bev. And
Yes.
I'm gonna maybe embarrass myself here, but I took our last message and I recorded it and I sent it to her. So let's just give a little listen and you can tell me how I did.
I'm already laughing.
Squash ga kidien apje gi moshkene shkagon ga windemoninna. Ngichinendam sastaman ga kidian. Kabe apjenin da in debaji moansan Anishinaabemian. Ne ego mendige memonji pi tendema bejek ji Anishinaabemtoninna mushkin. Ginamagwa ngoding gijigak wiba. Apje gi meno pegoze nagozoag gedoskanag. Kinana ga yajig wewebejoam gi meno pidanawa gedobekwejigan. Nahau bama.
So, do you think she understood me?
I'm sure she did. I'm sure she did. I understood you.
Okay. Well, listen.
I understood you, but you need to be more what's the word I'm looking for? You need to sound more Anishinaabe.
Okay. So, but actually, I'm interested to know, like, is there anything, is it more about the pronunciation of individual words? Is it more about, like, not stopping when I'm talking, or?
Yeah, I think it's the intonation of the words that needs to be brought up a little bit more.
Okay.
Animbev, squatch gakidia, up jiggy mushkneshkawan, ga wind munina. Get chinendam, tustaman gakidia. Kabab janindain, the bajmoasan Anishinaabemoin. Ni iomem dege, memunjuk chipitenema, bejik Anishinaabemoin mushkin. Namagon goding gishgak wiba. Up chigo gimna pugusin agzewog gduskanak. Kinanaga yajig webjung gimna padanawa gdup kweshgan. Nahabama.
Okay, miigwech. What I'm actually going to do, and I've been doing this with previous episodes, is I'm going to go back, listen to what you did, and just try and copy you and see if I can, like, go on to your
copy the intonation, how the sound is.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. So let's go look at what Bev came back with. So this was long, but it's super interesting. I want to dig into some of these words with you. So if you're watching, you can kind of follow along with the Anishinaabemowin at the top. And it's split between one main message, and then she had a little one sentence at the end, which is a separate message which I'll play. So let me hit play now. Whoops.
Sorry, I
think I got the wrong one there. Give me one sec. So, let's pull this up. Okay. Is this the right one?
Paul, apjo kim na tun jegakidien. Eskam sugo kikendas. Apjugunagini andon metaman pi. Mego ni migos goi jibakwa. Ning squang jenda ning. Endang jenda squang. Ni nimnasad ni minoni jitod ni Anishinaabe steak. Ni saso korat. Baloni agent kade. Minos ni nemokaji sak ni wikwepenak. Ni agent kadewe. Blanket dogs. Miswanen kia. Minos peshkona kweko. Mino ni mode minos ni high water ni chibakwega mekta anode.
Okay, and then this is the second one.
Midas rodeo wanted to back when I knew the bagnek, Venus. Sanksad bagnek. Nahabama.
Okay, so I'm gonna hand over to you, Isadore, and we can walk through and just talk about the words that she was saying.
Sure. All right. So, Ani Paul, obviously. Hello, Paul. Apjigo kim natun. Apjigo. The word apjigo is used in a sense where it is very much so, very grateful, gratitude. Apjigo. Kim natun, meaning I really enjoyed the sound.
Okay.
Of you. Kim natun, the sound of you. What you had said. What you had said there.
Okay, so a couple of questions. So the je, what is? I know gakidien is basically what you said, with ga being the past tense. But what is the je?
Je is there. What you had said there. Je.
Okay.
So if I said je tun means put it there. Je tun.
Okay. And then the kimnaton, is that meaning to enjoy listening all in one word?
Kimnatun. That KII tells you it's you past tense. Minna is that same word with the good.
Yes.
Minna. Kimnatun. I like the sound that you made.
Okay. Got it. So, and by the way, the KII is the same as the GII we sometimes see for past tense, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, and then the mina is basically mino. Good.
Yes.
Awesome. Kimnaton. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Kimnaton. The key is used when I'm speaking to you singular, ki. And the gi is he or she. Gi we sine, he or she ate.
Got it.
Ki we sin, you ate. Ningi we sin, I ate.
Okay. That's really interesting. I did not even pick the mana in there, but it's very clear now. Okay, so what about the next one?
All right. Eshkam sago kikendas. Eshkam sago kikendas. And she's saying you are starting to get smarter. Eshkam. Eshkam is just another form of saying it's beginning to, it's starting to, it's something that is evolving.
Right. So that SHK that we see in like shkwa, shkintam is the same one, right?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So eshke, something beginning, like the word eshkabak, meaning when the thing is starting to bloom.
Okay.
Just the beginning of that bloom.
Okay.
Eshkabak.
Okay.
Eshke. Okay.
And the sago?
Sago is just I don't even know how to explain that one. Eshkam sago. Very much so.
Okay.
Eshkam sago kikendas. You're starting to very much so become very smart.
Okay. So the important question, I guess, is do you agree with her? Okay. All right. So next one. Apajigona.
Apajigona geni ndundam. Oh, apajigona. Apajigona, again, there's another way of saying very much so. Apajigona, meaning there's a lot of commotion, a lot of action. Apajigona. Apajigona geni. So geni, me. Geni, me. Ndundam ta. I am very busy. Very busy. Ndundam ta. Mampi, here, Mampi. And you'll see Mampi and Manpi, different dialects using Mampi and Manpi. So Mampi is what she's using.
Okay, and so the do basically is about me, and then ndamta is about being busy.
Yes.
And I actually have a question. This is just, I don't know if I'm seeing something that's actually not the case. But you just said geni is about me. So does that mean that gegi would be about you?
Right, yes.
And is that Anishinabegi? Is that the Same
right,
word?
Anishinaabe.
Oh my God. Wow. Super cool. Okay, I never made that
so
connection.
let's supposing I'm going to ask you about your father. I would say Anishinaabe.
Oh, okay.
So Geni, Gegi, and Geweed.
Oh, super
Geweed,
cool.
him or her.
Okay.
Woo.
Okay. Awesome.
Flash of light
Awesome.
came into
Yeah. Lots of, yeah. All right. So, migo jigo.
Migo jigo. Migo jigo. Jigo is soon. Pretty soon. Migo jigo we jibakwea. We future tense. We jibakwea. The Yantian tells you it's me singular. Jibakwe is to cook. We future tense. Migo jigo we jibakwea. So soon I'm going to be cooking. Migo jigo we jibakwea. Ni-ing. Ni-ing is at that location. Ni-ing. Shkweang. Behind. Shkweang. Jinda. Here. Ni-ing endaang. At that location behind my place. Behind our place, sorry. Our place. Exclusive. Endaang. Jinda shkweang. Behind here. Ni-i nimnazan. Ni-i. So it is that I am going to cook. Mnazan. And then she changes her story. Ni-i. Ni-i minwani jitun. And then I'm going to make. Ni-i minwani jitun. Jitun is to make. Ni-i.
So I have a question. What's the difference? So in this case, she says ni jeton. What would be the difference between that and we jeton?
Ni jitun and nui jitun. One is will and one is want.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Anishinaabe steak. And we know Anishinaabe steak to be bologna.
Got it.
Nizasgokwadan. Nizasgokwadan. I am going to fry it. Nizasgokwadan. Bologna. Gien kade. Gien. Supposedly it's called. Gien.
So Gien supposedly, and then Jinkade is it's called. Okay.
Jinkade. Gien. Minwash ni i Nemukaji sug. Nemukaji sug are little puppies. Nemukaji sug.
Oh.
So it doesn't say anything about wrapping a blanket. It doesn't tell the learner anything about blanket dogs. It just automatically assumes. Okay, blanket dogs. Nemukaji sug ni wikwepinok. So if I'm saying wikwepdun. Wikwepdun is rapid. Wikwepdun. So nui wikwepnok, because they're animate objects, you're using nui wikwepnok.
So the ug at the end to make it plural.
Yes.
Okay, so niwi kwepnog is basically I'm going to rap, right?
Right.
And then the Nimoka jinsag is the little dogs or the puppies.
Yeah. Right? The hot dogs in this case.
And so how do you say dog?
Nemosh.
Nemosh, right? Okay. And then this is maybe something we can get into more detail in another episode, but is it the diminutive, I guess, the way you can add that jin at the end, right? To make it sort of like a little dog.
Right.
Nemo, so instead of nemosh, nemoka jin, and then the sag makes it plural.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So nigi yen jinkade.
Oh yeah, niigi jinkade we blanket dogs. So again, it's saying supposedly they are called blanket dogs.
Yeah.
Jinkade.
Okay.
Miso walankia misa, and so it is that I will be doing this. Miso walankia minwash gabesh kwanakwe. And also, all afternoon. I will be doing this all afternoon.
Okay, so two things. So the wanankia, what exactly is that?
Wanankia is what I will be doing.
What I will be doing.
Wanankia.
Okay. Oh, okay.
From
Okay.
a nukian. Anishinaabemowin.
Like to work.
Yeah,
right?
to work.
Right.
Nuki.
Oh, got it. Okay. So and then miwash. Okay, and then the shkwa nakwe we actually had in our last episode. Shkwa nakwe, the afternoon, right? And gabe means all.
Gabe is all.
Oh, so all shkwa nakwe, all afternoon.
All afternoon.
Okay. Okay.
Mish minwa, and then mish minwa, and then niing ude. Over there at that location.
Yeah.
Minwa ni'i. And that it is Hiawatha ni'i jibakwega migda'an. Hiawatha has a kitchen over there.
And if I'm not mistaken, Hiawatha is the name of a restaurant, right? That's being run by a friend of Bev's, I think.
Hiawatha is her niece's name.
Right, and her niece has like a catering business or something.
Yeah, and
right?
it's called Hiawatha's Catering. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and so we actually had this in one of our episodes, the jibakwe gamig, so the kitchen, right?
Right.
Okay.
And da'an means she has.
Okay.
Da'an ude. If I was to say da'an is I have. Da'an. Gigdo biapkus da'an. Da'an. Okay? So she has would be da'an. You have would be gda'an with a G. Gda'an.
Got it.
Okay?
So basically the n is a I, the g is a U.
Right.
And then without it, the da'an is just she.
He or she has, right.
She has, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Midash ude wanjajibakwea. Midash ude. And so it is there at that location that I will be cooking.
Okay. So what? Oh, wa. Okay. Wa nji jibakweyan. So the wa is the future tense.
The j is the location.
Location. And then jibakweyan is I will be cooking.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
Neo the baganig. 4 o'clock. Neo.
Okay. And we had that last week in telling time. Okay.
Right. Pinash up to Pinash. Neo the baganig. Pinash up to 9 o'clock. Zhangsa the baganig.
Which we also had last week. Okay. Cool. Nahabama. All right. Let's give it another listen. So I'll do the first message.
Paul, apsugo kimnatun shegakidien. Eskamsugo kikendas. Apsugo nagini andun metaman pi. Mego ni migosgowi jibakwa ning squangjanda ning. En dangsende squang. Ni nimnasad ni minani shitod ni Nishnabe steak. Ni sasokora. Baloni agent kade. Minosh ni nemokaji sak ni wikwepenak. Ni agent kadewe. Blanket dogs. Ni suanan kia. Minosh peshkona kweko. Mino ni mode minosh ni high water ni Jibakwe mekta node. Midas ode want to jibakwa new the neck pinas no Sanction bagne. Nahabama.
It's cool. You can hear her counting the hours. What that
right?
The last
She was
part.
counting. She didn't know how to say 9 o'clock right away, so she said. So
I have actually one question. I realized I wanted to ask you about some of these words. So I noticed there's one place where it says minwash, and another one where it says mish minwa. And is that a contraction? So is mish actually midash?
Yes.
Shortened?
Yes.
And then minwash is minwadash? Shortened?
Yes.
Okay, got it. That makes sense. Okay, cool. So this is what I am going to send to Bev, short and sweet. I'm going to say, hello, Bev. Thank you very much for your message. That all sounds delicious. I hope I can taste your food again soon. Okay, later. So maybe I'll get to ask you to say it in Anishinaabemowin, and then I'll try and copy you.
All right. Anim Bev. Kchimi gwechgakidien. Kinago we mnapgotagud. Gnamagu wiba ndag jipdan gdumijim. Gnamagu wiba ndag jipdan gdumijim. That got me confused there, Gina. Gnamago wiba ndag jipdan gdumijim wiba. Nahabama. So here, and again, the typing of how you typed it, to me made it confused.
Okay. All right. So we could. I'll change that. So let me give it a shot. So Ani Bev, kchimigwech gakidien, kinago we mina pigotaguat, gina mago wiba nda gchip pidan gdo mijim wiba. Nahao bama.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, so I'll listen to you doing it again, and then I'll try and use that as a guide.
All right.
Okay, so let's go to fun with words. So there are a couple of things. I've been hearing from a lot of people that have been listening to this, asking questions about animate and inanimate, kind of how it works. So I want to let you discuss, but let me just tell you my basic understanding, which is that typically animate is words. So sorry, let me take a step back. The animate and inanimate is sort of the gender in Anishinaabemowin, the way that you divide different types of words as either being one or the other. And I want you to tell me I'm wrong, by the way. And that animate, what I've heard is typically it's things that either have a heartbeat, things that move independently, or maybe have a spirit at a more conceptual level. And then inanimate is basically everything else. And that the way you would refer to it is maba for animate, and then manda for inanimate. And I'd love to, just hear your thoughts about this whole thing of animate, inanimate. And then also maybe if we could talk about the words maba and manda and show some examples with them, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah. This is one of the most complicating things to us teachers to teach animacy and inanimacy. For me, something animate, like you said, would have a spirit in it, but not always. Why does an apple is an animate object, and a strawberry is an inanimate object? If I said udemin maba, it does not make sense. Mishimin maba, this is an apple. Udemin manda, this is a strawberry. Okay? So there's certain things in the language that we as fluent speakers are able to articulate, to say, this is animate, this is not animate, this is animate, this is not animate, this is a living thing, it's not a living thing. Daban, who's to say Daban, a car, is a living object? In the Anishinaabemowin, it is a living object. I don't know why, it just is. A clock is a living object. The buggy swan maba, this is a clock. Daban maba, as opposed to a picture on the wall. Oh, picture on the wall, that's the same thing. Mizinchigan maba, this is a picture. Any picture, any photograph, any hanging picture, it is an animate object. So my professional words to you is, you need to be a fluent speaker to know what is animate and inanimate.
Yeah.
For example, things that go around the neck. Napkuagan maba. It's a living object. Anything that goes around the neck. Anything. Okay? Napkuagan, a necklace, a necktie, a scarf. It's a living object. I don't know why. It just is.
Okay, so can we do some examples? You are already doing it, but I just pulled up the slide back up just so people can see it when you're talking. So can you do some with maba first, and then we'll do some with manda, and we can kind of compare.
Okay. Let's go with the word dog. Nimush. Nimush. Any animal, any human being, any living thing is a maba. Okay. Maba. So I'm introducing Paul to everyone. Paul Maba. Paul Maba.
Meaning this is Paul.
Yeah, this is Paul. Isadore Maba. This is Isadore. Maba. Okay. And Nimush Maba. This is a dog. Okay. Maba. Now, Manda is any inanimate, any non-living object. Any object. Pabwin Manda. This is a chair. Dopwin Manda. This is a table. Waskunenjagan Manda. Wigwam Manda. This is a house. Oh, Waskunenjagan, light, lamp. Waskunenjagan Manda. Manda. So Manda is used for inanimate objects. Maba is used for animate objects.
Okay, and then for anyone who is kind of unsure about how to remember this, I'll tell you my little trick for remembering it, and this I'm sure is like, you know, gonna freak you out who's like steeped in language. But this, my simple technique is I use the N in manda to represent inanimate. So, you know, I think of the in part of inanimate and I see the N in there, manda, so I remember, okay, that's inanimate. And then the maba is the animate one. So I use the N in manda as a clue to remind me of the sound of inanimate.
Wow, you got the smarts.
No, so that's my little technique. Maybe it'll help, but there's other ways people can remember them as well.
Right.
One question I wanted to ask you, and this is something I've been interested in, is I've heard that depending on where you're from, so maybe for instance Wikwemkong or Curve Lake, that some things in one place are animate and in another place they're inanimate. Sometimes you have that.
Yes,
so
very much so.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Again, it would depend on how they have lived their life in that language area.
Yeah.
For example, a sin, a stone, a rock, a sin maba or manda. In Wiki, you might have people that say manda, but there might be people that'll say maba, a sin maba, because it's a living thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So again, it would depend on the Odawa, the Ojibwe, or the Potawatomi. Those three different languages would depend on who uses manda and maba.
Got it. Got it.
And Wiki has those three languages. Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi.
In Wiki.
In Wiki, yes.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. So you know, this is my approach to this, kind of coming back to your earlier comment about you need to be a native speaker to really understand this,
fluent speaker.
Or a fluent speaker, the approach that I'm taking is just listening, you know, and trying and making mistakes, but just trying to sort of make it feel naturally come inside me, as opposed to trying to sit down with a list of, you know, memorize every single one that's inanimate and everyone that's animate. More try and feel the word, you know, and feel what people are saying, which is sort of, I think, the overall approach I'm trying to take in general with this. Okay, anything else on this topic, or should we go to the next one?
Yeah, let's go to the next one.
Okay, all right. So what I thought we would do is this is one that I actually find quite interesting, is colors. And because of what we just talked about, this can help us look at a color in its animate form and its inanimate form. And then I've put the equivalent in Anishinaabemowin, so English, and then added some notes. And so what I'd love to do is talk with you about the words themselves, what's in them, what they tell us, but then also see if we can find places where these words show up in other words. So let's give it a whirl. I'll do them one by one. And maybe if you could just read them and so we can hear what they're supposed to sound like.
All right. So we have the animate word, which is, oh, they're mixed up. It should be the other way around.
Oh, is it the other way around?
Yeah, misquande and miscuze. Miscuze is animate and misquande is inanimate.
Yeah, see, I was actually testing you and you passed the test. So, so I'll do it like this. Simple fix. Okay, all right. So is that better?
You're good.
Okay.
Yes, that's good.
Okay. All right.
So misquande. And again, the word misque comes from blood. Misque.
Okay.
Misque.
And can you maybe give an example of each, like the animate, inanimate, animate, just in a phrase or a sentence, like how you might?
Okay. Misquande nbabagoyan. My shirt is red, though it's white. Misquande nbabagoyan.
Okay.
Misquoze ndudaban. Misquoze ndudaban. My car is red. It's an animate object. Misquoze ndudaban.
Okay. Let's go to the next one.
We have zawande, sorry. Zawande and zawze. Zawande, zawze. And coming from the yellow, orange, or brown colors from the traditionally, that was the main color. And some places you will hear Ozawande with the O in the beginning. Ozawa.
Yeah, and what I understood, what I heard was that going, I don't know when, but a long time ago, this was used to describe the full palette from yellow, orange, brown. Basically, anything in that sort of range would be using this word, right? And one thing actually I was talking about with you earlier is the last name Osawamek. Is that kind of a combination of the Ozao, and then Amek, meaning beaver, so like a brown beaver, is that right?
Right, that's where it would come from, the brown beaver, Ozawa Omik.
Okay, got it. Okay.
All right, next we have Kusmanande. Kusmanande. Now, this is a new word that recently evolved. It means the color of a pumpkin. Kusmanande.
Yeah.
Kusmanande. And Kusmanazo. Kusmanazo.
Okay.
Akionde and Akionzo. Coming from the word ake, earth. Akionde, Akionzo.
Okay.
Jaushquande, Jaushquanzo. Jaushquande, Jaushquanzo.
And then this is another one that traditionally was kind of broad, which was covering green and blue all together in one color, right?
Right.
And then more recently we have...
Yeah, more recently we've adopted a new color, which is Minande, Minazo, meaning the color of the blueberry. Minande, Minazo.
Okay.
Also another one is Gijiguande. Gijig, the sky blue color. Gijiguande. Gijiguazo. Gijiguazo. And the word Gijig, meaning the sky. Gijig. Jomenande. Excuse me. Jomenande, coming from the word grape. Jomin. Jomin. Jomenazo. Purple. Jomin. Jomenazo. Maccadeande. Maccadeande. Maccadeazo. Maccadeazo. Black.
Okay.
Wopshkande. and wopshkazo. Wopshkande, wopshkazo.
Okay.
And that's where the word the wabazo comes from. It comes from that whitish color, waba. Waba, it's a shade of gray. Wopshkande and wabazo. Wabazo.
Great. And then?
And gnionde. Gnionde. Gniozo. Gniozo. That would be the pink color. Gniozo. That would be the more bright colored. Gnionde.
Okay. And then the guinea is rose, right? The flower.
Guinea is the rose, yes.
Okay, cool. I mean, one of the things that I love about this is the colors. They're all of them are sort of telling a story, you know, and have like they're referring to things so that we can kind of relate to the language, which really makes it feel alive for me, you know. So we had the example of the osawamek. I don't know if this is unfair to ask you on the spot, but are there any words you can think of that like derive from some of these colors, or where you see these show up, or you can think of?
Well, I mean, when I said the word makadea, I was thinking of the word mekde kunye. Makade kunye. Makade kunye comes from the word for priest.
Oh.
Makade kunye. And that literally just says the person dressed in black. Makade kunye. Kunye. Okay? If I said mina kunye means you're well dressed. Mina kunye. So mekade kunye, a black dressed person.
Got it.
Mekade kunye.
Super interesting. And then we had we talked about this, I think, in the last episode, but you were talking about in the Wabishka and also Wabande, both of them have that root which is sort of talking about light or lightish color.
Yeah, from coming from the word the waban, meaning the when the sun starts peeking his head out. Waban.
Okay.
That WAA, that brightness.
And that also shows up, I guess, in the word for east, the direction east.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Wabanung.
Wabanung. Okay. All right. Well, cool. If there's any other ones that jump out, great. Otherwise, I think we've come to the end of another episode.
That time went by so fast.
It went by fast, but it was really fun. I had a great time. I'm looking forward to our next one. Definitely some cool things in store.
All right.
And I hope you have a good week.
I will.
Okay. Nahal. Bama.
Nahal. Bama pi.
Okay. If you enjoyed this video and think that others should see it, please hit the like button below. All likes help us get seen by others. And of course, be sure to subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all new episodes. Make sure to turn notifications on so that you will know when we upload a new episode. Miigwech.